How you going? It's Justin Allen here with my Good Advice channel, here to give you good advice for a better future. Right, today I'm talking about Uber and rideshare tips. Alright, check it out. Right guys, with this tip, it's pretty handy to use. You just simply buy one of these face masks, a sleeping mask. You can buy them for $1 on eBay, pretty cheap to buy, and you can use them like when you're waiting for a job. You can just kick back your seat and have a nap while you're waiting for a job, or if you go to the Melbourne airport, you generally have to wait there at least an hour, so they're handy to have when you want to have a nap. It just makes you feel more alert, more better. You feel more happier when you're well rested, so keep that tip in mind. Right guys, my next tip would be to get yourself a hybrid. If you're really serious about doing Uber, you really got to get a hybrid. I've spoken to a few customers, and a normal car in my car without the hybrid setup will get you 550 k's to a tank, or this car is easily getting 900. So you work that out, 350 k's is a big difference in the long run. So, and also when you're just waiting for customers and waiting on the side of the road, you know, all the time when you're waiting and you're parked on the side of the road, that the motor's turned off, so you're saving a lot of fuel. Like how many hours you'll get out of a tank is considerably much more. You can get way more time out of your car, because you could be, say it takes you an extra hour to do 100 k's, that you're not going to have that extra cost, and you make a lot of money in savings over the year. I've worked out my car saved me at least $10,000 a year, because I do about 80,000 k's a year. And also the brake pads, I've noticed, like I've had my car inspected by Uber recently, and they're still like new, so you can easily get a couple 100,000 k's out of your brake pads, and that's one less expense you have to worry about. Alright guys, get yourself a hybrid. Right guys, with this tip, with Didi, they've got a promotion, rewards for the drivers that if they refer a rider. So with Uber, I give out coupons, and I'll show you. I've got a coupon holder that I got from Officeworks that I put in the front of the glove box, so I'll show you at the end of the clip. So it's a very good idea to do this as an extra way to make money. So you can get rewarded around $10 to $20 per person that uses the code. So basically they've got to download the Didi Rider app, input the code into the promotions, and then they use it once, and then I'll be rewarded with, like I said, $10 to $20, and they get rewarded with $20 worth of credit, 4 times $5. So it's a very good incentive to do it. I've even put coupons in the gym and in my car, and if any customers talk to me about it, and you can just give them a coupon. So it's a pretty good way to make money. It might be a bit of a job to print it all out, but it's worth it in the long run. Right guys, my next tip would be to listen to audiobooks. There's a lot of audiobooks out there. You can go on Audible or on YouTube, and I've even done a clip about it, what smart Uber drivers do while waiting for jobs. And I'd recommend, it's a good way to, like while you're waiting for a job, you can be getting smarter, growing your knowledge. You can developing more knowledge into any topic that you like. Preference that I like is about rich books, because I want to achieve financial freedom. I don't want to always be exchanging my time for money. We're not here forever. We're here to enjoy this planet, and sadly, like, I've been on the dole many times, and without money you just can't enjoy this world. So you need to have both time and money. Alright, so keep that in mind. Like, what I do is you can listen through the car speakers and just go through the Bluetooth, or you can just get I've bought on eBay a little wireless thing. You just put it through the Bluetooth and you just stick it in your ear, and you can listen to audio books even while the customer's in the car if you wanted to, or just in between jobs or while waiting for work. Alright, check that clip out. Alright guys. Right guys, my next tip would be Friday is a very good day to set the destination to the airport. So what I did today was, today's a Friday of course, and I set it to the airport, set the destination, and I managed to pick up a ride that went for 1 hour and was 57 k's, which was a very good paying job. So I highly recommend keep that in mind to set the destination to the airport on Fridays. Right guys, with this tip I recommend you got to realize time is money. You're getting paid not by the time, by the job. So you got to realize, like, to call the customer, give them a good chance to come, text them, and then call them. Like, if you're one of those people that don't like calling people, well, sorry, you're gonna have to, you know, waste time all the time, and time is money. So you got to realize, you know, you got to try and get the most amount of jobs done each day. And it might be out of your control waiting for a job, but what's in your control is doing the job as quick as possible and pick them up quick as possible. So keep that in mind guys. Right guys, with this tip it's pretty easy. You just buy a pillow, and it can be used like when you're sitting down and you're driving for 12 hours. Sometimes you can get a sore bottom, so keep that in mind, that you can buy just a simple pillow. You can buy them anywhere, Safeway, any like Kmart or any place like that. They're relatively cheap, and you can use them to sit down, or you could even use it as a pillow when you're kicking back the seat and having a nap. So I'll just show you guys what I use. And also I've got a little note holder that you can put reminders on there, and you can just buy a sticky notepad. It's a very good tip. Check it out. Right guys, my next tip, it's a bit a time saving tip. Like, time is money. With Uber or other companies, you basically got to keep in mind that you're paid on performance, so that you got to make the most of your time to get the most amount of work done in a time period. So one tip I'd give you to save time is like, you can waste a lot of time going to the toilet. So I recommend simply you can get a large coffee cup and just use that a few times and then throw it away. And another option would be to buy a 1 litre milk bottle, and they generally sell it at a Servo or anywhere like that, or Safeway, and you can just keep it in the middle console and just throw it away after a period of time, couple of days. And you can just pee in a 1 litre milk bottle with the screw on lid on the top, and it's a very good way to save time, because if you're in the city or there's no parking, and it can cost you how much time when you work it out over the year just to go for a pee. So it's a very good tip to keep that in mind. Right guys, with this tip you got to realize time is money. So basically, when you're driving to pick up the customer, you got to be there quick as you can. Make sure you're doing the speed limit the whole time. I'm not saying the speed, but you've got to keep in mind, if you speed, you just worked, you know, get a ticket and you've worked for the day for free, and it will cause you stress and a headache. So don't speed, but always make sure you're doing the speed limit, and then when you pick them up, make sure you try and get them in the car as quickly as possible. Text them, ring them, and then you got to realize you got to make the most of your day. Try and, it's like in your control, sort of like to encourage things to move quickly. And then when you drop them off, make sure you're doing the speed limit and trying to be quick as you can, because you've got to realize you're not getting paid when you're in the traffic. You're getting paid to drive. You're getting paid per kilometer. So keep that in mind, like to get there as quickly as possible. So you've got to pretend in a way you've got another job to go to once you finish this job. So it's in your control and best interest to quickly pick them up, quickly get them in the car, and quickly drop them off as quick as possible. Make sure you got your eye on the speedo, and make sure you're constantly doing the speed limit and getting there as quickly as possible to make the most out of your day. Alright guys, keep that tip in mind. Right guys, another tip that I'll give you would be tips. Some people say to put a tip jar in your car and just put tips on it. So that's another way you can get an extra income. It all adds up. It can help pay for your lunch or something. So you can keep in mind, like the Uber Eats people, that they get extra money, and they can get you know, like a lot of tips over a course of period of time that does give them an income. You can do it as well. And also you can also keep in mind that you can go through the drive-through and say McDonald's or whatever, and you can get a free burger every now and then. It does like help you out a little bit. So it's only loose change really, but it all helps over the course of the year. So keep that in mind. Like some people don't like to go for the drive-through. They don't like the smell of the food and takes time. And I've spoken to other drivers. They always make an excuse that they've got to go somewhere and try and get out of it. So it's not for everybody, but keep it in mind that tips and getting free food at the drive-through can help you out a little bit. Keep that in mind guys. Bye. Right guys, this tip I'll give you is pretty obvious. You got to maximize your time. Time is money. So I recommend joining all the apps out there. It might be a bit of a headache to join them all up, but you'll get that money back, that time back in the long run. For when you're waiting for a job, you're losing money. You could have picked somebody up and done the job. So you got to realize, like, it's very smart to join all companies. There's Uber, there's Didi, and there's Ola and Taxify, and there'll most likely be another company down the track. I would have to recommend that Taxify by far is the worst company to work for. They're like the last company I'd recommend joining. Even if you want to, just don't even worry about them. I've been working for them for a long time now. It's probably been 8 months, and they're a terrible company. They give you a job and then it cancels on you, and it's not much work in that company, and you could be like giving up a good job for a bad job. Like you might get a job for both companies, and then you get a job for Taxify, and then it cancels on you. You just gave up a good job for a job that just cancelled. So I think the Taxify, their app is very poor, and they need to update it. I find Didi's very good. They show you where the trip is going, and I find it a very good company. It's lower rates, it's more attractive to the customers, and I can see it's got potential to grow a lot. And I have been getting a bit of work, but I find that you get more work, you know, like during the day. I find that you get more work through Didi. At night you can get, late at night Uber is normally busy. So I recommend joining all the companies. Once you've got all the qualifications, you can simply join up. And Didi's got a headquarters near the Tullamarine where you can get a lady. I got a lady to help me upload all the documentations, and it was up and running. I was online in 30 minutes, so it's pretty good when you got somebody to help you. So give it a crack, join all the companies. Alright, bye. Right guys, the next tip I'd like to give you is leverage. This job has really good leverage once you've been doing it for 2 years and you've filed 2 tax returns, and then you can go down to the bank and leverage your income to buy a business loan or getting an investment property or your own house. So I think keep that in mind. Right guys, with this tip for Uber, just make sure that you don't cancel the ride until it's come up with red, and you've got to like wait for the 2 minutes for it to start charging the customer in the green, and then you've got to wait 3 minutes, and then after that then you can cancel the ride and then you'll get paid for it. So just be aware, if you're ever gonna cancel the ride, if you cancel before it comes up in the red, that you won't get paid for the cancellation fee of $10. So keep that in mind. Right guys, the next tip I'll give you would be to not waste time while you're waiting for a job. It's a very good tip. So while I'm waiting for a job, I'll keep on heading towards a petrol station or get my food, or you know, you can go to, there's a lot of things you can think of that you can do while you're waiting for a job. Even if you have to wait for, like, you do a job and then you keep heading there, and you get another job and you keep heading there, eventually you'll get there. And I even sometimes do it with a coffee, and it's a good way to, you know, save your time, is to while you're waiting for a job, to be getting something done, getting your food or something. You can even, you know, sometimes it can be quiet and you can get some shopping from Safeway just quickly, or there's many things you can do. You can go to get some car parts. So I recommend them to not waste time while you're waiting for a job to be doing something. Right guys, this tip I'll give you will be to study the surges. You got to realize that the surges are similar each season, say summer, winter, spring, you know, the start of the year, the end of the year. It's all similar this year to next year. So you're going to have the same sort of forecast for the future, and you can use that to help you where the surges are, what time of day, and you can just take some notes for next year and write down on a calendar. And you can even, like, sometimes there's events on, you'll have a similar event on the next year, and you can keep notes. Like, it can help you encourage you get the surges next year. And you gotta, like, when you do a trip, you gotta turn the Uber off and then have a look where the surges are. The surges are, like, you can say, like, a lot of things with Uber are out of your control, but if you get a job that's in a surge and you wait, just keep rejecting jobs until you do get a surge, you're guaranteed to get a good fare. So you got to keep that in mind, that you can some things you can control. So keep that in mind to take notes of the surges. Alright? Alright guys, the next tip I'll give you was, you got to, like, before you start in the morning, you got to clean your car. So what I believe you got to do is work out how you can do it the most quickest possible way to do it. So after a while, when you've been doing it for a while, you do learn how to do it very quickly. So you've got to remember that's a part of your job, is to be professional, speedy, very fast, efficient at cleaning your car so you can get back on the road, because it's costing you time, which is costing you money by being offline to clean your car. So generally what I do is I fill up my water bottles first, and then I clean the interior, and then I work from the top down with soapy water and then water, and use a sponge to quickly rinse off, and then I generally clean inside the doors and be quick as I possibly can to, you know, work it down to an art where you become very good at it, to just get it done in 20 minutes or 30 minutes time. And check the forecast. Sometimes it might be not worth cleaning the car, so just give the car a quick clean on the inside and get back out there. Check the forecast regularly at the start of the day, and if you want to, you can even save time by, like, being at the airport while you're waiting for a ride for an hour. You could clean your car, open up your mind to, like while you're waiting for a job, you can just clean your car and just keep, like you've seen in my beginners tips, where I've got my own bucket and sponges and my own car soap in the car, so it's always in my car on standby if I need it. Keep that in mind guys, time is money. Right guys, my next tip would be to simply just do your own repairs and maintenance on your car. I change my light bulbs myself, I change the oil and oil filter myself, and you can easily go down I go down to Repco, and you can get good deals sometimes on the oil, and it doesn't cost very much, and it's much quicker. The first time might take a little bit longer to do it, but after that it's very easy. Like I find I can do it in 20 minutes if I put my mind to it, and just bang bang, the oil and oil filter is done like that. And it's much quicker. If you were to go down to a shop, it would cost you, it could cost you an hour and a half of your time waiting for them to do it, and then also driving there. So it can cost you nearly 2 hours of your day, versus get the oil and then just do it when you get the next weekend come up, and it doesn't cost you much of your time. It cost you half an hour of your time. So it's much better to keep that in mind. It's much better to learn the skill on doing your own repairs. And if you do, my brother's an auto elec, so I do have that privilege of any repairs electrical. Like I've got someone to help me, or you might know somebody else that's pretty good with working on cars. Alright guys, keep that in mind. Right guys, the next tip I'll give you would be, don't exchange all your time to Uber. Don't give Uber all your spare time, because if you do that, that's all you'll get. You'll constantly be having to exchange your time to make your money. So I'm saying not to do it forever. I'm saying in the short term, maybe do it to get ahead in this world, but in the long run, you've got to plan to find a way to get passive income. Open up your mind to find ways to achieve it. So keep that in mind. Right, another strategy another driver told me was he likes to only do surge rides because he knows he's going to be in for a guaranteed good fare. So he told me he studied when the surges were in the morning during the week when people are going to work, and on Saturday nights, and he always, like, once you do a ride you can just turn it off, and then you can look at your Uber map and see where the surges are. And he always liked to do the surges, and in the morning he'd say he'd get a job to the city, and then he'd turn Uber off and then just head out of the city and then take it to another person in the city, and he didn't care if he had to pay a tollway. He'd jump on the closest freeway. So that was his strategy, to just do lots of surges, because if you work those out, if you're just constantly doing those, he showed me he was making consistently $2,500 a week through just always getting big fares. So keep that in mind. It's a pretty good strategy, but I like to take whatever I can get, because you can't always rely on surges unless you only drive a short period of time when the surges are. Alright, keep that in mind. Right guys, the next tip I'd give you is you've got to remind yourself that Uber has the potential of never ever being passive income. So keep that in mind, that the money you make, you've got to save it and then invest it into something that will be passive eventually. So you've got to remind yourself, unless you plan on starting up your own app and then have other people working for you, other people exchanging their time for money, or you plan on one day eventually buying a car that drives by itself, you've got to realize that it will never be passive income. That, the only way you can really make a passive income is really by buying heaps of cars and hiring them out to Uber drivers, or a business, or rental properties, or open up your mind to other options. So eventually you've got to realize that you want to get out of the rat of exchanging your time for money to Uber. So open up your mind to look for options. Don't plan on doing it forever where you're exchanging your time for money. Right, my next tip would be to claim depreciation on your car when you go see a tax man. It's a very good tax deduction, so I'd recommend doing that. And keep all your receipts and make sure you're claiming everything on tax. It really helps you out, claiming all your Uber expenses on tax. You claim like everything: fuel, tolls, insurance, every repairs, everything it's car related. You claim it on tax, and it will help you out heaps. And also I recommend, just like, I've got a tax clip if you want to check it out for more information. Alright guys. Right guys, my next tip would be to leave some food in your car. It's good so you can leave some bananas or some muesli bars or something on standby that, just like, if you think about it, it's not going to cost you time to go get it, and it's not going to cost you money, and it's just on standby. So basically keep some food on standby in your car. Right guys, with this tip, I recommend at the Melbourne Airport Uber car park, just ask other drivers for tips. There's normally 100 other people there. There's normally experienced drivers there. If I've spoken around to a lot of drivers, and you do learn a lot of their strategies and their tips and pointers, so keep that in mind. Right guys, another tip that I'd like to give you guys is, I don't personally use it, but I have considered it as an option. You can basically go to Jaycar or go on eBay and just buy yourself a kettle, and you can make your own tea or coffee in your car, and it can just run off to your car, 12-volt cigarette lighter. So instead of buying a coffee all the time, it can add up over a period of time, like over the course of a year. That could easily add up to $1,000. So it's a very good tip to keep in mind, that you could just buy a kettle and leave it in your boot, and you could just boil your own tea or coffee. Alright guys. Right guys, the next tip I'll give you, I call it like just heading home strategy. So basically at the end of the day, when you've been driving and you know it's like close to the time when you're going to be going home, so what I basically do, like, this works pretty well like during the week when it's a bit quiet. You don't want to be investing a lot of your time waiting on the side of the road too long. So basically what I do is I keep heading home before I plan on terminating, so a few hours beforehand, and then once you keep going home, if you get a job, you can just keep going, and then you just keep repeating the process, keep heading home, and eventually, like, if you get home, you can always use that option called just start earlier the next day. You know, if you get home 2 hours earlier than usual, you can just wake up 2 hours earlier and try the morning, rather than, it might not be busy sometimes during the week in the evening. So it's a very good idea to do that, I believe, to have a plan B. You can always start the next day. Right guys, keep in mind that you're not here forever. So like what I did today is I knew where I was going, and then I turned it off, and I made it my last trip. Now I'm having a break, enjoying this beautiful sunny weather. It's a Sunday, been down the peninsula, very nice area to drive on a sunny day. There's a lot of wineries around here, and it's very good to drive around. The atmosphere and the scenery is just fantastic. So what I'm trying to say is, don't always exchange your time to Uber. Don't always sell your time to the company. Turn it off and enjoy the moment, enjoy the journey of your life. Our biggest asset of life is our time. We don't have an abundance of time. We only have a certain amount of time, and you don't want to just be each day, each week, you're just swapping your time for Uber and swapping it for a paycheck. You know, life's just going to pass you by. You know, you're going to just wake up one day and be 10 years gone by, and all you've done is solved your life for some money. So you got to realize that we're not here forever. Your biggest asset is your time. You got to realize, like, even the people out there that say are 70 years old and billionaires, they can't just throw that money up in the air and have their life back. We're all only got a certain amount of time to live. So basically, don't sell all your time to Uber. Enjoy this world. Turn it off, and sometimes you can be taken to a fantastic location by the beach. Take a half an hour off and enjoy this world. Alright guys.